Hello nerds and nerdettes, today we need to talk. I would like to address ProIndieDev drama that has been ongoing for past 3 days and involve few prominent names in something that quickly descended into more of a joke than a discussion. I will start here by saying that I consider myself to be on slight left of the center politically. I speak openly about discrimination and have been victim of racial abuse on numerous occasions just because of my accent. Issues of diversity are dear to my heart as an economic European migrant in the increasingly hostile United Kingdom. With that opening, I would like to ask you to watch this video and listen to the argument to the end. Drama started with Brianna Wu attacking on Twitter Gabriel Dan Santo, organizer of ProIndieDev event. ProIndieDev is the first online free conference designed to teach new indie game developers the ropes of the industry. If you have any experience with indie development, you quickly realize that the field is mostly blind leading the blind, with many misconceptions and myths, and any concrete knowledge is scarce and difficult to find. As you can see here, Brianna Wu accused developers of being sexist and not diverse enough. It quickly escalated with Klifski's Twitter response. I want to talk here why diversity is important and when it is important. Diversity has been proven to produce better products, make businesses more profitable and generally be good for innovation in the industry. Now it works like this if and only if it leads to diversity of experiences and opinions. Being a woman or being a black doesn't automatically make your opinion different to that of a man of similar background. I would argue that a middle-class woman or a middle-class black man has far more in common with a middle-class white man than this the same white man has in common with other white person from the social estate. I would further argue that the struggles of the working-class white man are comparable to the struggles of working-class black man or a woman. I spent last decade of my professional life working in social care. If there is anything I have learned in this time, is that the poverty and abuse doesn't care about your gender or skin color. The only privilege that really matters is the privilege of wealth. Who do you believe to have a harder life? A daughter of Indian-born clinical consultant earning £100,000 a year? Or a white son of a single mother of 5 living on a social estate in Britain? I would like to talk quickly about the indie development industry before we continue. Your typical indie dev company is a small, usually 1 to 3 people studio. You don't usually apply to become indie developer, there is no application or recruitation. One day you, and maybe 1 or 2 more friends, wake up and make the studio. From that day forward you are independent indie developers. No one is going to stop you from opening the studio. It is literally £60 fee in the UK to register your business and similar prices across the world. Many indie developers are self-taught entrepreneurs. Literally the only barrier to entry here is owning a computer good enough to run Unity, Unreal or GameMaker or any other engine of your choice. There is no need to inform people of your gender or skin color. There is no questions about it when you submit your game to Steam. No one asks you this when you send in game to review online. I have certainly never questioned any of the developers who send me Steam keys about their background. In this highly independent field, all that matters is quality of your work and your ability to get others interested in your games. We tend to operate under usernames or company names. Now, your background can help you with making specific games, or it can make it harder to learn due to the difficulties you are facing. So let's look at the first person in the lineup, Edmund Macmillan. He's a Mexican descendant living in the US who should not speak unless Mrs. Wu gives him permission to do so. Like, no, really. Apparently he's irrelevant in the discussion despite being one of the main speakers in the event. So this bad hombre here grew up in the poverty, suffers with learning difficulties, comes from a history of abuse and himself is a sexual abuse survivor, which resulted in mental health issues. He's also the creator of Binding of Isaac and a Super Meat Boy. You may have heard of these games before. If that is not diverse enough background with an amazing success story from someone who must have overcome many barriers on his way, I seriously don't know what is. Organizer himself invited several female developers but didn't receive many responses. Event is free and each of the successful developers is taking their time away from their work to run it. To compare it to events like GDCs, which cost between $1,000 to $2,000 to attend, and that is excluding flights, passports and visas, I would argue that free online event is of far more greater benefit than paid event in the USA. It would take me over a year of saving to be able to attend the event like this. And there are countries out there where £1,000 is such a prohibitive price that this event would be simply impossible. Not to mention all the mess with obtaining visas to the US. I would like to bring to your attention the fact that after 3 days of drama, not a single name of a successful female has been proposed by the hackers of the events, which comes to the great shame because the opportunity for change to the lineup was opened by the organizer. Rather than using it for a positive change, professional identity politicians are using this event and the anger they may have caused for their own publicity. These people care about one thing only, which is their own business and opportunities. Real road to change is never the option for them. As Appa Ben said in his latest video on Kingdom Come Deliverance, these people are never pleased and they are not playing video games, nor are they directly involved in the developing of those. If you want to lead the change in the indie game industry, you should understand that no one is ever changing their mind by being abused online. We should promote the female and minority developers by positive action. One of these actions could be providing the list of the successful female developers that the future events could use. Mrs. Wu apparently has such a list, but is refusing to share it. Others claim of knowing successful African developers, but again no names have been mentioned. I urge people with the knowledge to come forward and suggest potential speakers. I would then urge females and minority developers to use these events to talk about your games and your journey. No one wants to hear yet another speech about how gamers are sexist, and being white is a crime in itself. It will not convince anyone to change. Show us your games and show us how the unique perspective you have can help you create better games. But most importantly, don't diminish other people's success for being white or male. Appreciate the great games that developers have made and knowledge they have to share. It is naive to assume that just because someone looks different than you, majority of their experience won't be useful to you. Workflow, game trends, keeping your sanity, scope of the projects, market research, prototyping, iterating and many more topics will be exactly the same if you are a white male from New York or if you are a black girl from Nigeria. You can still learn from these experiences and be grateful for the fact that someone is sharing their years of experience for free in the most accessible places of all, the internet. Nerds and Nerdettes, my name is Feniks and that's all I have to say on this topic. Take care.